Hey there, guys, and welcome to Naked Reality, a podcast all about stripping bare mental health. We're going to hear from people all over the world sharing their stories, their experiences, and their journeys with what they've been through in their life. But now it's time to get naked with our next guest. During all of our episodes in this podcast, we do cover sensitive topics. So if you or anyone you know is suffering with anything that we discuss, please listen to the end of the episodes where we can find contact details for us or support lines to help you with what you are going through. Alrighty, I'm ready to go.
Yep.
So 3, 2, 1, and we are on. It's a pleasure. It's early in the morning here in Perth, WA, and I know it's a little bit later over in Queensland. But it's a pleasure to welcome on today's guest, Anastasha, who is a master coach and an emotional wellbeing practitioner. You've already spoke to me off the air about some of the stuff that you do with people in terms of helping with the mental and emotional well-being, which sounds really exciting, and I'd love to get into that later on in the show. But first of all, just want to welcome you and to say thank you for coming on and having a conversation with me to help all these beautiful people.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Yeah, it's so obviously, you know, this interest you've got about mental and emotional well-being, like this is, I think when we first met from a mutual friend of ours through a course that he was running at, and I got this sense that, you know, this is something that you're deeply passionate about, like helping people with with mental health and emotional well-being. And from the small conversations that we've had since that, it seems that there's something, you know, it lights you up inside to do this. Is it what made you want to go down this path in the first place?
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting question, because we end up in some fields of our areas in our lives, and we don't even sometimes know how we got there. I got asked this question once, and the response that came out of me actually surprised me as well. I was asked, why are you so passionate and about what you do? And I said, I just can't see people suffer. I cannot handle or seeing people suffer. And then I digged a little bit deeper. Why is that like that? And my own internal answer was, I guess, because I've seen so much suffering. I've seen so much pain. And I just, every time I see pain, I want to get rid of it in the world, in people, in our psyche, in our mind, because we are usually the ones that are creating it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there. It's, I have a big belief as well that, this pain, it comes from self, whether it's, comes from initially from something that happened externally. At the end of the day, we take on this pain ourselves, and it manifests in, however we react or act in different ways. It's because that pain has caused something with us, which, as you found, I'm sure through what you do, it can be healed. So
absolutely, it can be healed. And sometimes pain comes not just from within you, but it comes from the collective. But collective also consists of us. It consists of us humans. So if something is oppressing you or making your life hard, and I know very well how is it to be, suffering from the collective, because I was born in Soviet Union, and I lived most of my life in childhood in Russia. So some things are coming from external world, but that external world is also created by each of us and each of our individuals, by our own sons and daughters. So it's all about understanding that and taking responsibility that each of us always creating something in the world, and asking this question, am I creating the good or am I creating the bad? Am I polluting the environment right now, or I'm making it very beautiful, and friendly and loving and sparkly? That's the question.
Yeah, it's that's a good question to ask. I think I think it's something that when we're going about our daily lives and we're working, we're being parents, we're being friends, and doing our hobbies and things like that. It's one that we generally don't tend to ask ourselves enough, which is it's really good that you bring that to light, and you're helping people, suppose, generally just ask that question, what sort of impact am I making on the world and the environment that I live in? It's really
And,
important.
and what impact are you making on yourself as well? Because any of your health problems are stemming from what are you thinking and how are you responding in every single moment of your life. I got interested in psychosomatics when I was like as early as 16, 17. Started reading books on that and how our mind affects our body. So when people get physically ill, I don't get surprised, but they do. They do get surprised. However, there's always an internal problem. There is always a reason. There is something underneath all of that that can be easily turned around and easily can be changed. Sometimes not as easy, but with certain determination, it can be turned around and changed. I had a client who got healed from the stage 4 of lymphatic cancer, which it takes all over all of your body, all of his body, and if the stage was so severe, he wasn't even getting up. I would come and work with him. He would just fully, lying down already with no energy and very little life force left in him. However, his determination to leave was so strong that he was prepared to do whatever it takes and to look at all the changes he needed to make inside, and to let go of whatever he needed to let go and heal and forgive and just turn himself internally, and he did.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah,
That's,
it was very powerful because my whole work consists of actually just digging out from the unconscious mind what is it that is creating this kind of response in our lives, whether it's not being able to attract a partner or attracting someone who is not good for you, or attracting money, not attracting money, having illnesses or sicknesses or diseases or things happening in life, like why did you crash your car, for example. There is an underlying reason for each and every single event, because everything is connected, and everything is interrelated, and everything is interrelated. Your mind, your emotions, your energy, your behavior, it's very complex. We are complex creatures, and all of those elements are working together at all times. So there is an underlying kind of reason of what's going on. So that's what we do in sessions. We go and dig underneath and just check what's going on, and by changing the attitude, by releasing, by letting go, by understanding ourselves, and letting go of like old beliefs or old traumas, old woundings, the blocks around certain things, we allow the energy to flow. And what happens? The healing happens. Love comes into your life, money comes into your life, the happiness, overall joy comes into your life. And it's as simple as that. Like, as complex as it sounds, it's very simple, and as complex as
it's I guess like what strikes first off is this gentleman that you were working with, obviously stage 4 cancer in any means, whether it's from the lymphatic system or anywhere in the body, is quite severe. It's like last sort of almost clinging to life, like you were saying, sort of where this gentleman was stood. Like, I think for a lot of people, especially if you've not been in contact with anyone that's been through something like that, or has had cancer in the past, it's quite hard to fathom like what this guy is actually going through, and what they're having to emotionally deal with at that time, as well as physically deal with. So it's like, what were some of the sorts of things that you would help him with, that could give him this opportunity to reinforce this state that he, this fight that he had to be alive, that it was a thing that could be developed to help him through this process.
So what I do is I take people through a program, which is 8 weeks program, or 8 stage. It could be longer than, some people go through it a bit longer, some people a bit faster. And we dive into main blocks or main patterns that we as humans have collected throughout our lives just naturally, whether you had the most amazing and easy life or you had a lot of hardship. It does not matter. We, as humans, we have a very, common things. We go through 8 levels of releasing any kind of pain, blocks, conditioning, trauma. For example, the first level is shame, guilt, and dogma. So that's what we dive into the unconscious. When did it happen? We let it go, we turn, and we release it from the body, because on the very basic level, we all have shame and guilt, and we all have dogmatic beliefs that we have collected. Just because we were born into the world that already is speaking to you, and they're already telling you, like the previous generations is already passing on to you what you, some dogmatic beliefs, how the world operates. However, that's not how the world operates. It's that's how they think the world operates. That they think that it should be like this way or that way. And you take it on and you run with this program. And what we do in the session, we release the program. So you can actually start navigating with understanding how the life works, not how the society works. Because the law of nature and the law of energy and the law of attraction and all of those universal laws, they are usually almost opposite to what we taught and how the society operates. And by restoring the balance, by restoring, coming back to your natural innocence, by your life force that is not suppressed or brought down with this negativity or the beliefs around shame, guilt, and dogma, you come back to your natural innocence, and you come back to your life force, to your desire to live, and your desirability and your self-worth. But what brings us down the most of our self-worth is shame and guilt. And they can be sitting in our psyche from very simple and very innocent moments from our life. For example, you have a daughter right now, 16 months old.
Yeah.
It's simple phrases like, "Oh, why did you do that? You should be ashamed of yourself. Oh, don't throw that you can't do that. That's, you're being a bad girl." Or phrases like, "You upsetting mommy. I don't stop upsetting mommy by your behavior." That creates a program inside of the psyche. Goes, okay, the source of my love, the source of my survival right now is not happy because I've done something. I am wrong. I have done something wrong, and I should be ashamed of myself. Let me store that in, because that's valuable information, and it kind of, it depends. My survival depends on whether I know this information or not. And those Gelstats, they call Gelstats, they store it like those moments by moments, and it records 24/7, 365 days a year. Uh, and eventually you have certain programs in your unconscious mind that go, I am bad, I have done that wrong, I do not deserve, I definitely need to be punished because obviously like I've been told that I have done something wrong. And this self-punishment program that switches on. And if you have more cases in your life, it just becomes like this machine. So what we do, we stop the machine, we remove those blocks, we come back to internal innocence and so forth. Then the next layer, we clear out grief or fear, clearly open up our hearts. We remove all the blocks around love, around openness, about um, being accepted or not accepted in this world. Every time we have felt rejected, that's sitting somewhere. It's not going anywhere. All of your experiences in life, every emotion, every thought, every belief, every event, it's sitting and recorded is in your unconscious mind. That's why there are so many modalities like hypnotherapy, like NLP, like behavioral cognitive therapy. They all are focused on reprogramming and changing your beliefs and putting what's good for you. But before you put something that is good for you, you need to clear out what's not good for you.
Yeah, it's I completely resonate with what you're doing and everything that you've said so far. It's, I guess the best way I can explain it is I've had some pretty big revelations come up for myself just in the past few weeks about things that I used to tell myself when I was a little kid because of my experience as a child. Like for my listeners, I think most of them know my story about growing up without a dad. He was never in my life. He left my mum when she was pregnant with me, and then he passed away when I was around 5. And over the past week or so, what's come up from doing this sort of work and looking at those behaviors and things is that I felt the need to compete with myself all the time for love, and the love that I wanted was the love I wanted from my dad. So it never mattered. Like I would be competing myself. We try and be better to try and receive this love, but no matter how much I tried and how much I was trying to better myself, I was never ever going to get this love. So it made me say, well, it doesn't matter how hard I try at something, I'm always going to be worthless, and I'm always going to be never deserving of this love. And this like imprinted into myself as a message that, is no matter what you do in life, you're going to be abandoned. And no matter what you do in life, you're never going to be able to live up to what other people want or to what other people think. And you're never going to be able to get the love that you really need anyway. And this is from this incident in my life. This is where this pattern's come from, right? And this is what you're talking about in terms of the messaging and the things that we imprint in our lives at a young age that can then come out and affect us later on in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, the worth and self-worth and like I'm worthless, I don't deserve, I'm unworthy. That's the biggest block that we have as humans, and that's what I see again and again in every person. It's shaped differently, it's worded differently, or it affects a different area of life. But that is the core of the like the trauma. Am I worthy? Am I deserving? How can I deserve this? That love that I need so much, because we are originally come here as love, and then things start happening, like our parents, like people around us. Our behavior is reflected back to us. So it is massive. And then you will also have to look at, in your particular case with a relationship with a man, I mean, as a male, you would need to look into the divine masculine and your relationship and your trust with the divine masculine energy.
Mm.
And there will be other blocks like that, like other thoughts or other, I mean, I call them blocks, right? Or other programs, something like, I will never be like my father, or I hate my father for doing this to me. So, and that means that I hate part of me. It means that I hate masculine. So it's coming into terms with the masculine, coming into terms with your own self-worth, and also removing the charge between love and hate. Is like, I love him so much, I want him to be, or I want to be loved by him, and at the same time, no, I don't want to be like him. I hate him so much um, for abandoning me.
Mm.
And so there will be like push pull energies inside that are creating this disturbance and creating the tension, the
Yeah.
conflict, and the like part of us will be conflicting. So some of the beautiful work, for example, in NLP we do is we do the integration of the path integration,
Mm.
because the more integrated you are, the more healed and aligned you are. When you bring all of your parts that think certain way, respond certain way, into all one encompassing you as a awareness. And the truth is, all of us carry certain wounds, like a wound of rejection, a wound of abandonment, betrayal, humiliation, injustice. No one goes through childhood without collecting some kind of um, pattern or information about life, about self,
Mm.
um, and recognizing, like you have recognized your wound of abandonment, that's going to be a huge support to you as you go further in life. You feel like, oh, I feel abandoned here. All right, so what I need to do, I need to quickly restore my internal. I gotta give love to myself. I need to look after myself. I need to make sure that that feeling dissolves, and then I can go on as whole and complete human being,
Mm.
rather than trigger the wound. And so the one step, the first step, as what you did, and what's amazing is that recognition, the knowledge, the information, and then you have all the tools that are going to help you
Mm.
to heal it.
Yeah, it's a really powerful thing, and what I love about it is, you know, it's a tool, and it's education that can be used for everyone in any situation, no matter where you are in life, whether you're, you're just starting out as a young adult and finding confusion in your life, or whether you're, in your later stages of life where potentially you're still struggling with these things, but you just want to move forward and live out a peaceful life for yourself. And it doesn't necessarily, I know we spoke about the gentleman that was managed to remove himself and went into remission from cancer, which is amazing. But it's there, and it's able to help anybody going through anything. And any pains or traumas or misunderstandings or problems in life, this is a tool that can be used universally. And I think that's the really powerful thing about it, right?
Yes, well, he's now very happy. He's very successful, and with the healing of internal trauma, money came into his life. He is traveling. He's talks about love a lot now, and before the illness, it was all about he. The only thing he could talk about is how unfair the world is. So the perception has changed from the world is unfair and I'm a victim towards, oh my God, I love this life. The I am love. I will be sharing my love with everyone and everywhere I go.
Mm.
That's a massive shift, and sometimes we do require those knocks on the head to make that internal shift inside of us. How cruel it might be sounding. However, if you don't wake up yourself, the universe or your life or your spirit, however you call it, God, your own higher self, will wake you up eventually
Yeah.
by pushing you into the position of losing something or facing the loss or facing the challenge. And you would have to finally look inside of yourself and reassess your values, reassess your view on life. Are you polluting the external environment, or are you creating love? Because everything around us, the air we breathe is love. The life force energy is love.
Mm.
um, so, do you feel love in your heart? Is your heart open? Has your heart been healed? Are you willing to trust yourself, trust life, trust love, trust other people?
Mm.
Or are you shutting down? Are you behaving like a cancer cell in this life? Or are
Mm.
you behaving like, that healing cell in the body? It's your choice. The main thing that I teach with people, and the main message that I have is, you are responsible. You need to take responsibility for everything. The first step for healing and changing anything is taking full responsibility, that this
Mm.
mind is yours, those emotions are yours, that relationship with your dad that you've created within yourself, it's yours, it belongs to you, it does not belong to anyone else. You can change it. You can recreate your father right now as
Mm.
the most divine being that made an appearance in your life and went on to do some other magical things. It is for you to rewire it.
Mm. Yeah, I really love that, and that actually brings back to some writing I did just a few weeks ago. That you know we can feel ourselves full of hate and anger and all sorts of things for what's happened to us in the past, but I'll be honest with you, through the stuff that you teach, I've barely scratched the surface in terms of going deep into things and learning these tools and understanding them. And just from the little knowledge that I do have and from the tools that I have used, one of the big realizations that I've had was that my dad was just a man that was potentially full of pain and hurt, that he felt that he couldn't commit his life to being a dad because of what he was suffering with. Therefore, he had to run away and be away from me because he was struggling with something that he was going through. And what struck me first was that, if that was a person stood in front of me, a complete stranger, which in fact my dad really was to me, I would have compassion for that man because he's hurting, he's going through something, and he's really struggling. But the one magical thing that came from it was he gave enough of his life to create me, and he gave enough of his love and his time on this earth to make me happen. And there's nothing wrong with being in pain. There's nothing wrong with going through stuff. But what's beautiful is that there is that beautiful sense that this happened. I'm here because of him, and I have a deep gratitude for that. And it's I could be angry with him for the rest of my life if I wanted to be. But in the fact that I've figured this out and I've found this gratitude through doing work like this, it makes me feel full of love. It makes me feel full of compassion for myself, and to be soft and gentle to myself. And I think that's the magical thing about what it is that you're doing in terms of a as a career. It's helping to guide people through to find this, and to help them realize that you can think differently about whatever has happened to you. It's completely up to you to decide the image that you imprint on yourself about your experiences that you've had.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, sometimes it takes a little bit more just a change in thinking, because the part of us that is holding that memory, the holding the trauma, holding the experience is not a mind. It's our emotional body, and the emotional body is not reasonable, is not logical. And some of the techniques that were the most effective that I used was reparenting technique, and other ones to work with the inner child, work with that emotional body. I I get to work with a lot of men that um, were raised with mothers that were not mentally well, and
Mm.
they're carrying a lot of trauma from that. I have had quite a few difficult cases where, mm, uh, a man, he was adopted, like he was given away for adoption. So how do you rewire that? Um, how do you change that around so that deep, not only knowledge or memory or understanding, but that also emotional, that cluster, that I was not good enough, I was given up, I was given for adoption, no one wanted me. How to change that, to turn it around. So that's what we do in the sessions. And as soon as we did this reparenting technique, his business blew up. It's incredible. Within weeks, that's what happens when
Wow.
you change those things internally. It's incredible. He hardly, when we first started working, he could hardly pay for the sessions. Just like really had to stretch them
Mm.
into like tiny installments, because he was so much in debt, and he couldn't get out of that hole,
Mm.
that darkness, that really doubting himself, his self worth, self esteem, like really beaten up by life, and so painful to watch. And we turned everything around, and now he's like what he says, like the king is back. He feels like on top of the world. He feels like a
Mm.
king, and he's like, and we changed it inside. So he's not only the mind, but emotional body has switched to the fact that I was never adopted. I always have, like, mother is my, the earth is my mother.
Mm.
The divine spirit is my father. I always have them. They're like, he's so connected to nature. Like, I'm getting shivers just as I'm speaking. Like, the wind can be your father, the ocean, these forces, and when you live in the connection with the nature, with the forces around you. And a reparenting technique also allows you to take back the parenting of yourself, of
Mm.
your own inner child, which is really, really, really powerful. Because, as you said correctly, our parents are just humans. They have their own fears, they have their own limitations, they have their own traumas. They're not gods. They're
Mm.
not, all knowing and all powerful. And quite often there are still children. Some of our parents haven't even grown up. They could be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, and they still can be in in their awareness, still can be behaving as immature. So you cannot put your whole life into their hands. You got to put it back into your own hands, because you have grown. You can take responsibility for it. And yes, you can forgive them and love them and have compassion for them and see them as they are, just humans.
Mm.
They are just humans. They did the best they could. They tried, they failed, they made mistakes. They are just human beings. They're just walking this road just like you, one step at a time, falling and getting up, and they mess up. And that's okay.
Mm. Yeah, that's it's beautiful to think that way and to have that perspective. And, just hearing you talk about that, it just fills me up and makes me feel full of love, just to know that if you can take that perspective and, have a realization that, all humans are just humans living their own path, like you said, and just walking through life, learning and trying and failing and succeeding. If you can have that level of compassion for your parents, you can have it for yourself. And if you can have it for yourself, you can have it for anybody. And if you can have compassion and, understanding that we're all just the same in that sort of perspective, it gives us that common unity that we seem to be missing a lot in this world that we live in, that, even the president of the United States is still a human being, still failing, still succeeding, still hanging on to emotional baggage from his or her past. And it's, it's beautiful to think that it's like they're just trying to do the best that they can. Yes, some may be led on the wrong path by some of the stuff that have gone through, but innately they're still just a human being experiencing things the same way I am. And it's a beautiful way to think, and beautiful way to feel too.
Yes, well, and I also work with human shadow, so I know human shadow really, really well, and how it looks like and how it shows up, and it's all about holding the paradox, that we have the most beauty and the most loving part of us, and we also do have the darkest and the most disgusting and horrible part of us. No one is actually perfect. We can only choose which part of us we're feeding and which way we are walking. Are we walking towards this, or are we talking towards the opposite? However, with the compassion, the consequence, the consequences, the sequence, it needs to be not having compassion for parents and then having compassion for myself. Yeah. It starts with the compassion with self.
100%.
You're actually completely incapable of having an understanding and acceptance and compassion for other people unless you have compassion for yourself. And that's where the phrase love, you can't be loved until you love yourself. I don't know how deeply people actually understand it, but it's absolute truth. It's imagine if you haven't walked inside of yourself and haven't walked in every room there is and experience that deep love and compassion and understanding what's going on inside of you and who you are, and you trying to connect to another person and love them and kind of walk into their internal rooms and love them and have compassion for who they are, until you have done it for yourself. Or if you have judgment for yourself, if you have parts of you that are shut down, not accepted, not seen, not understood, completely bashed up by your own judge that's sitting inside of you, how can you possibly love and see those parts in other human being? You won't. And one part of my work with people, or like as a coach, as a practitioner, we gotta be able to go as deep and as dark with this person into the depths with of their trauma, in order to help them to come out and get out and get up. If I haven't walked my path internally, how can I possibly be able to hold you through your experience? How could I possibly understand you and go as dark as you need to go?
Yeah. I think that leads me to one of a question that I've been it's been on the tip of my tongue for you for the past maybe 10, 15 minutes, is like, obviously, you've gone deep into learning all of this stuff, to be a master coach, and to live in this space of holding other people's emotions and making a career out of this for yourself. There's obviously some sort of trauma that you've had to overcome, through to learn this education, and to feel so passionate to share this with the world. There's a part of you that was, you've found, and you've done this work for yourself, right? It's not been, you've not just woken up one day and gone, huh, I want to be an emotional well-being practitioner. It's something that's come from feeling and experience with inside you, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And my life has been, I've had such like ups and downs and a big changes and realization. One main thing about me is I always wanted to go deep and understand myself really deeply. It means that, and quite often people would reflect back to me saying, "Oh my God, you're so fearless! Like you can jump into your all of your experiences and all of your feelings and all of your emotions. How do you even do that?" And that's what one of the differences is, that I was my desire to be transparent with myself was very strong all my life. Like all I wanted, to be honest, everything that I studied for myself. I was just
Beautiful.
curious. I was just very curious. All I wanted to know is I wanted to know myself. Who on earth am I? Why am I here? And why things happen the way they happen? And what does it mean? This intense curiosity led me on this path of self discovery again and again and again, which I've been on since the age of 17, and I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my training and education and courses and programs and sessions and healings. You can name anything, and I've done it. And medicine as in medicinal plants and so on and so forth.
No, beautiful.
And the pain of what I've discovered is there were a few major pains in my life. First of all, just arriving here is in this body, arriving, being born as human, the trauma of the birth and what I've experienced then. Growing up with sometimes quite unsafe environment, and things like many people have gone through, or dangerous situations. I was kidnapped when I was 6. I have experienced assaults, and I have experienced all kinds of things, and abandonment and betrayals, and it was in situation, a kind of relationship with my dad that I had to resolve a lot as well on many levels. And I would just jump into the depths of it, trying to understand. And the depressions and suicidal thoughts or suicidal attempts, I've been there. I have done that. Or rape, abuse, been there. So I know how to, I know how to go to the depths of the trauma, and I don't hide from it. That's I guess my main quality is I never hide from anything, and whatever needs to come out, like the truth is the truth, and I'm seeking the truth constantly. Yeah, so it's like combination, I guess.
Yeah. I guess like it's, the whole experience for people, listening to what you do for a living, and, hearing a little bit about your own experiences. It's like, it's obviously there's a starting point for you on all this. There's not, it doesn't just come to you overnight. You don't just wake up and have these like mad realizations and things. It takes a lot of depth to go down and challenge yourself to this level. I am.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a starting point. There was
Yeah.
definitely a moment in my life where well, first of all, I would never wanted to be a healer or coach or, go into this uh, with the desire kind of and I don't believe that you just all of a sudden wake up and go like, oh, I want to help people. That's who I'm going to be. You just live your life and you walk your path. And I had a very traditional life, very traditional marriage, and very traditional success. I had a very successful traditional business, and um, like everyone else, I got university degrees and building my career, building my business, having my children, and have been in a very traditional marriage. And the moment of this awakening happened after my divorce, when and what I found is that actually happens to quite a lot of women, that kind of moment of change and awakening after the age of 35 or close to the age of 35 or closer when we get to the 40s. And I'm 43 right now. So I have already gone through quite a few initiations in my life. So the moment of uh, that change of perspective, change of values, change of uh, kind of that internal seeker all of a sudden wakes up and goes like, why am I even here? What is this all for? Is this is that all there is? What's my purpose? All these questions become like so relevant and so disturbing that you get into this seeking path. And that's the time also for women, when they stop pleasing everyone else and they stop being liked, or stop wanting to be liked and stop wanting to be accepted, and all of a sudden they're just like, well, you know what, I love myself, and if you don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
And for me, that was just all in one. 30, I was 35. I got divorced. I started my life from scratch, from zero. Everything that I had was in the past. I ended up with no money, no work, no job. Like I had to leave that family business that we had together. Um, Kind of I was asked to leave because I was the one who was leaving the marriage. And Russian people are not like Australian people. We
Yeah.
just we navigate differently. So I was asked to leave, and basically I ended up with absolute zero. Um, and that partly was because I also was not, I guess, mature in a way to like prepare myself to that period of time. And I just like left, and I decided it was my decision to start. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that it's going to be so hard. I actually didn't realize that it's going to be so hard to start everything from scratch. And that was the toughest year or two in my life, where I got into massive debt. I had no money. No one would hire me because I have pretty much have never been employed. I always was a business owner, and business owners are way over qualified pretty much for everything.
Yeah.
And quite a few times in the interview, they asked me, "Are you even capable for working for someone else?" Because we're looking at your record, and we really doubt your ability to work for someone else. And I was struggling to find a job, and eventually my girlfriend, who had a cleaning business, she took me in. So I was, after being a multi-million dollar own business owner and general manager, and I was cleaning $20 an hour. It was the toughest time in my life, and that's when it was suicidal. That's when I was spending so much time into healing myself, learning about myself, doing everything that needs to be done. And somehow within a year or two, I got so many certifications and degrees from just doing this inner work, and I had such an incredible results that my friends started bringing clients to me. Like I started working with my friends first, and they started seeing the results, and then they started bringing people to me, and basically that's how it all started. My clients would bring their family members and friends and saying, "You got to work with her," because what changed for me just blew my mind. And yeah, that's how I stepped into the place of supporting other people after I've done my work.
That's beautiful to hear that journey from, literally like explaining it. I mean, I don't know how it felt at the time, with when you look at the accolades, like multi-million-dollar business owner, general manager, you're married and you've got this, what's considered in the everyday world as the perfect life, so to speak, to choose to have that removed, and then to be then challenged with all these things. It's freaking tough to go through, right? But
It was.
yeah, I guess what's, to bring up something that you said before, like underlying on underneath all that, what can be considered as the dream world, marriage, business owner, lots of money. There was still all that trauma from your young life, the, as you mentioned before, being abducted, rape, abuse, things like that. Like, what was that like when you first decided to challenge that and to first like go, I've got to move past this or move through this or to try and understand it better or to create a better relationship with it? What was that like?
Well, I guess it all started with, loving yourself wherever you are, and or whatever situation you're going through. And it's the moment when I was like on the verge of just leaving this world was, I guess, the lowest of the low for me, because I had to imagine I couldn't, I was so judgmental towards myself, towards me, that I couldn't get out of that loop. It's like, I am a loser. I am a loser. I've lost everything, and I cannot. It's like everything that I'm trying to create is not happening. I had to go back to my parents and ask for them to pay for my apartment. Otherwise, I'm going to end up on the streets. And this horrible fear of survival was just constantly. I had so many panic attacks. I had anxiety, and all it was just going through my mind is that I'm a loser. I am a loser. I'm not capable of just even paying for my rent, for my home. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. So, and then finding that inner self-worth, even through the hardest moment. And the only thing that I was grateful for is that my ex-husband was taking care of my children, as in financially fully, and I would had them 50-50, but he was totally fully providing for them, which left me with like, okay, I just need to get myself out of it. They're okay. I need to get myself out of it. And finding that self-worth from the depths of, I am so unworthy, and coming back to self-love and forgiving yourself through all the mistakes and through all the failures and all the past things that happened. And then you start unwinding, you go back. So you forgive yourself for this and you accept this. And then you go back a little bit, and you forgiven yourself for this and that, for failing the marriage, for making it happen, that it got destroyed, that it dissolved. The love is not there anymore. The connection is not there anymore. Forgiving yourself for that, forgiving yourself for all the shame and guilt you feel around your children for creating this kind of life for them, or this kind of obstacle, this kind of situation. And then you unwind, the guilt and shame that I felt towards my parents, that they have to face me like falling on my face and coming back to nothing after they put so much into me, so much of education and support, and everything was going so well in my life. They were so happy. And all of a sudden, here I am, like penniless and with no capacity to provide for myself or show up or whatsoever. So overcoming that guilt and shame and having these conversations with them, and crying that out. And I'm sorry I failed you, and I'm sorry I failed myself. And unwinding that and going back and back and back until you go to the very first day of your life, or the very first day of your birth. And then you still unwinding the trauma of how traumatic it was for my mother to give birth to me, and whatever I've collected in that moment. And because we're not only carrying our own stuff, we're also carrying our parents' stuff as well, all the emotions and their beliefs we hold in that. And that's ancestral. If you want to go even deeper, we have ancestral traumas. So you kind of start from here, from today, and and once you're good with today's moment, with the way you look, with the way you feel, with the way you show up in the world, with whatever you create, with what you say, you don't say, how you dress, you don't dress, and you're not dressed, you start unwinding back and back and back, and then through love and forgiveness for each and every moment in each and every person. And yes, like whatever happened to me, I have a complete peace and understanding with everything that has ever happened to me.
Wow, that's beautiful. And I guess for people that are listening into this, and something that rings home to me is that it's obviously you've had such a fantastic life before going deep and starting to understand all this. And I guess that can be, a mask as a degree to really finding who you are and to going through this path of forgiveness. And you've got this beautiful energy around you that shows that you have actually a deep appreciation for what happened to you when you were 35, from going through that experience, and through having the time and to be able to sit and actually challenge yourself in this way. Because it's almost like an alarm has gone off, and you've gone, I need to pay attention to this alarm and try and find out where it's coming from, what it is, and what is making me feel this way, that I'm not happy with where I was at that point in time, even though conceivably I have the perfect life. And I think this is something that's really good for people to take perspective of, is that even though bad things happen, like these, what you could call them trauma events, you could call them like flashes of, in the mirror, you could call them alarm bells, whatever you want to call them, is that yes, at that time in that specific point in, your existence on this planet, it could be viewed as traumatic and incredibly painful and incredibly hard to go through. But the beauty is it can also be the catalyst you need for change. It can be the starting point to really understanding who you are. And when we look back at it, like we are doing now, that point that was very painful in time was actually potentially one of the most beautiful experiences of your life, because it gave you that opportunity to really understand who you were and what your purpose was, and to find this deep, beautiful love you have, not just for yourself, but human beings in general.
That's true. Yeah. And I believe, that those moments are unavoidable in whatever shape or form they come. It's just our life is very colorful. It's very colorful, and we are going to have all those experiences, and that's okay. It's okay to have them. So it's like holding a paradox. It might be terrifying, but at the same, like I surrender. That I am experiencing this. That's what constitutes our life. We're humans, and we're gonna go through all our human experiences.
Because I guess that one of the big fears in taking this leap, obviously, like your client, your friend who was going through stage 4 cancer, is you're almost forced in that perspective to look at life, and it's pretty much every day is you're living like, what the fuck is life, because I'm in this position. But for the person that isn't going through and experiencing that traumatic event, it's almost like you view and it's like, okay, I feel this thing inside me, and it feels like I want to change, I want to learn more, and I want to grow from this place. But to be able to do that, it seems like I have to fucking jump headfirst off a cliff. And that's scary.
Sometimes it feels like in life like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In whether you're starting a new business, or you just simply moving from city to city, or you even relationships, marriage, your kids. That sometimes feels like jumping headfirst from the cliff.
And it's like, I guess this is the beautiful thing about what it is that you do, is that you're now not only you're working on yourself and you've been healing yourself, and it is a continuous process. I believe, like we're no matter how long you've been doing what you're doing, there's always going to be stuff to work through internally and emotionally for yourself.
Well, I see it as a spiral. It's a spiral. So everything unwinds like spiral. You get on the next level, and then you expand more, and you get on the next level, then you expand more, and you get on the next level. Like I don't need to work on my say childhood things anymore, but my life now is developing the way there I need to show up bigger and better and stronger in my business, and I need to increase my capacity, and that's where the self-work comes in, and more self-worth, more self-belief, more self-support, more resources, internal resources. So you just get on a bigger spiral, and basically people that having more, they're just capable of holding more energy and more awareness. We say, you look at Tony Robbins, the amount of people he's able to hold in his presence, and also support, and running the business, and having a relationship, and having a great team. Is just you expand yourself, and that's where you don't need to go back all the time and heals like, someone smacked me when I was 5. Oh my goodness, I need to heal that trauma. You don't need to go back there. You just you've done with that, you healed it, and then you just expand your capacity. What does it take for me to hold more people, to help more people, more energy, run a bigger business, having a great relationship, show up better as a man or a woman.
And I love that. And then it's that humility and that humbleness about you that you're able to hold this space for people. It's, I guess, for many people like experiencing this want to change, it's because you've got thoughts going through your head, like crazy thoughts. You think, oh my God, if I let this out to anybody, this is gonna be the realization that there's something wrong with me and I'm insane. And what's beautiful about what you're doing is that you've created a space where people can come in safely and to let out that inner craziness, if that's what you refer it to as. you've created a space where you can go, it's normal to have these thoughts. It's normal, with having trauma and experiencing things in life, it's normal to have these things. But it's also important to know that you don't have to be alone to go through it this way. That there is people out there that are willing to help and guide you, and do have the tools to help you understand these thoughts that you're going through and how they link to all the emotions that you're experiencing in your body. And honestly, Anastasia, I think what you're doing is absolutely beautiful, and it's a vital thing that you're offering for people to be able to heal, and to be able to do it in a way where they don't feel like they have to jump face first off a cliff, where they can actually just sit down and go through it in a nice relaxing manner.
Well, it's your birthright to be absolutely well, and on all level, on mental, emotional, psychological, physical, financial level. It's your birthright to be well and to be like, hey, it's actually not normal to be struggling or suffering or being in pain. So we just removed what's in the way of you being, blessed and happy and light and joyful and excited and inspiring and inspirational. That's your true energy that is actually going through your body, through your veins, and coming back. What happens after sessions with me? People actually say, I actually now feel like I am me. I feel myself. I feel like I found me. I found myself. I know who I am. That's the biggest blessing. That's the biggest joy. It's not into like, oh, I'm healed now, but oh my God, I know who I am. I love who I am. And finally, this is me. You reunite with you. That's the biggest joy.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling to be able to reach that point, to have that connection with yourself. And I've experienced it. It's fleeting for me at the moment. It comes and goes. There's times when I sit back and fall back into my trauma, and there's times when I kick myself back out of it. And it's a beautiful thing to know that we have people like you in this world, and to have the tools that you teach, to be able to help us through this. So I just want to say a massive, massive thank you and a big show of gratitude for what you do, and for coming on and sharing and spending some time with us today, and to tell us what you do, and to give us an insight into your story. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome, and have a session with me. Like let's get that trauma out of your way, so you can be on your path and doing what you are doing and being great at it, just with ease and excitement, so you don't fall back into it.
Beautiful.
It's gonna take
I will definitely take you up on that. I will definitely take you up on that. But for those listening, like obviously if they've connected to what you do, and to your story, and to how you can help, like how can people get in touch with you to possibly look into even just having a chat in a view to doing something with you?
Yeah, the easiest way is to jump on my website, anastashagrace.com, and book in a 30-minute chat consultation that we have, and I can test into you. I can tell you lots of things about you very, very fast, and then you can decide if you want to continue working with me, or you want to continue living your life the way you live it. It's your choice.
Yeah, that's just beautiful, Anastasia. I absolutely love what you're doing. I love the energy you have. I love the way you show up, and how passionately you talk about this stuff. And you really are doing a beautiful thing. And I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
All right. Thanks so much. I hope sometime soon I can have you back on the show, and we can have another chat, and possibly answer any questions that anybody has from listening to this, or just carry on talking and having some more beautiful conversations.
Oh yes, let's do that. I love conversations.
Beautiful, Anastasia. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, definitely set this up again for the future.
Bye.
Cheers. See you. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Naked Reality, and a massive show of gratitude to our guests who got naked about their mental health stories today in the studio with us. Also, a big thanks to our sponsor here for 2020 and 2021, getsome.com.au, providing some amazing supplements from Origin Labs all the way in the USA and supporting our military veterans. Stay tuned for this important announcement.
For anyone listening that's in need of any support for any reasons for their mental health, please contact Beyond Blue on 1300 224636, or for the ages of 12 and 25 years old, eHeadspaces at 1-800 650 890, or for the ages of 5 to 25, Kids Helpline on 1-800-55-1800, or if you're in need of any immediate support, please contact Lifeline on 131114, and they're available 24/7 for those in Australia. If you are looking for any more numbers, if you can visit healthdirect.gov.au/mental health lines. There's a lot of numbers there for specific topics. And also on our website is ONU, that's o-nu.com.au/mental-health-support-lines. We have a list of phone numbers and contact details for many of the main areas around the world. If you are in need of any support, or you do know someone that this would benefit, please share this around to anyone you think may need it. Thank you.